It's a common greeting when two people of Penang meet. The first question to each other, are you from island or mainland? Although these two places are apart, they do share some bumps in history, and eventually they would merge together as the state of Penang. So let's take a look at their growth and eventual development together. My name is Tan from Klang, and this is the Centre of Penang. The time is 788 BCE. A large settlement of Malay native of Kedah forms around the northern bank of Merbok River, the earliest trace of a systemic government north of the peninsula. Then in came the Langkasuka Empire and interactions with ancient kingdoms galore. While opposite of the mainland, at the Isle of Penang, first recorded trace of a colony was in 1771, when Captain Francis Light notes of 52 Malays on the island. Although 1,000 years apart, these two are the footnotes of the beginning of civilization encapsulating the Straits of Penang, which brings us to their first diplomatic relation with each other. Francis Light occupied Penang with a promise to the Sultan of Kedah that if Siam attacked Kedah, Francis Light would provide support of the East India Company to protect them. Captain Francis Light had big plans for this little port that's located at a very strategic location, but not long after would lead us to their first conflict with each other. As when the Siamese came, the East India Company deemed the stronghold of Penang not worth protecting against Light's arguments. Enraged, the Sultan gathered all of his other allies of the Sultans of Sikh and Indagiri from Sumatra and the feared pirates of the Sulu Islands to amass an army 10,000 people strong. Clearly outnumbered, Francis Light devised a plan and made a preemptive attack on the rendezvous point of these factions at Seberang Perai, backed by the British East India Company. This assault ended in a peace agreement that was signed between the island and the mainland. And in addition, this peace agreement also involves Seberang Perai being added to the British-owned island at the 1800s. From this point, the island and the mainland would be governed as a whole. Prince of Wales Island and Province Wellesley. And so too do they share their problems. The Straits at the early 1800s sees over 100 ships sunk as piracy grew rampant around these years. From large fleets to single galleys, they disrupt trading in Penang with raids of ships and ports. This severely compromises the plan of Penang being a famous port. It was mentioned that the southern part of Province Wellesley was uninhabited because no man dared to live there lest he should be captured and sold into slavery. And not only at sea, but even the lands had the Penang riots of 1867 at Penang Island with the local triads. And not long after, around the Seberang Perai region, the advancements of the gangsters of the Sikwans and the Gokwans at the 1872 had factions and livelihoods where they would roam the Straits of Penang looking for their prey. To counter this, the leading colony government ramped up law enforcement and the triads began to subside. And in conjunction with this, operations of search and destroying pirate stronghold was launched as well. And slowly, as order is restored, the straits are cleaned anew, and the dust held new light. The early 1900s saw Swettenham Pier became one of the busiest ports of Southeast Asia. Besides that, the cross-strait ferry began operation, connecting the island and the mainland, as at the same time as the tin mine boom of Siam and Perak had a second-hand effect on Penang, as the tin produced would be sent to Georgetown to smelt. This combined grew Penang into the leading financial center of British Malaya. But we all know that the 1900s hold a dark place in Malaysian history for a reason. And with the invasion of the Japanese forces who came from the north, Penang would be one of the first to fall to the Japanese forces, and also they established a major base on Penang Island itself. And after this dark era, with the Japanese leaving after surrendering of World War II, the communist uprising came soon after. All these burdens carried similarly by both mainland and island, struggling together as a state of Penang. After the dust settled and independence gained, both island and mainland would at last be connected, not only by diplomacy or a ship route, but by land. The construction of Penang Bridge was eventually completed and inaugurated at 1985, and still stands until today. As important and as used as this bridge might be, it might be something you drive through without further thought. But whether you're going to or returning from island nor mainland, the straits which you drive through holds and will remain the center of Penang.